Good evening, everyone. This is Mr. 313 Real Estate. And this evening, we're going to be talking about the importance of having a good team. And I like to use sports analogies. And not one person can ever achieve everything. Michael Jordan didn't become successful until he got help. He had Scottie Pippen step up. He had Horace Grant, John Paxson, and later on he had guys like Dennis Rodman come along. And he had a great head coach in Phil Jackson. He had a great GM to help assemble and help him get to his goals of winning championships. And it's a lot for a lot of great players. You know, you got to have great teams, have to be part of great organizations with great coaches, great people around them. And when it comes to home ownership, having a team is just as important. You have to have the proper people around you to accomplish your goals, because a lot of us are novices when it comes to real estate, and the verbiages, the terminologies, and all the things that have to take place. So if you're not an expert at it, then you need to hire the proper experts so you can get the house that you want. So let's start off with number one on what's the most important person on your team. And that would be your loan officer. I put the loan officer number one for this reason. A lot of people, you think that the realtor would be number one, but actually I feel personally that the loan officer is number one, because everything happens, okay, through the loan officer. I mean, the realtor or the real estate salesperson is null and void if you're not pre-approved, or if you don't have someone, a proper loan officer, to come in and say this is what you're approved for. So, with the loan officer, you want to find someone that's going to give you details. And what I mean by details is they're going to tell you what is it that you need to get the actual money, to actually get the mortgage, whether it's your bank records, maybe information on your 401k, what type of savings you have, pay stubs, whatever the case may be, W-2s. So your loan officer is going to make sure that you have all this information ready for them, or whatever else that you need, because it varies. Sometimes banks, they may come back and they'll ask for more information. So you want someone who's dedicated and who's detail-oriented. So when they find out this information on Tuesday, you don't want them waiting the next week to tell you, oh, yeah, well, I need this. Or they're telling you at the last minute that they need W-2s or they need your pay stubs. You want someone that's on it, that's dedicated and very detailed, and they're very explicit in explaining what is it that you need to get pre-approved. Okay? So let's just say, for instance, you get approved for $200K. Now, if you get approved for $200,000, you may find a home, maybe that's going for $160. So maybe you want to lowball a little bit, right? Maybe you want to offer $150. So this goes back to being detailed for the loan officer. You don't want the loan officer to send over to the seller that you got pre-approved for $200,000. And they're going to take that as an insult that you offered them $150. So this might be the house of your dreams, and you might not get it just because of your loan officer. So you want to make sure your loan officer is savvy, experienced, and also detail-oriented, because they're like the nuts and bolts. They're the ones that's going to make the transaction happen for everyone else to get paid. Now that we covered number one, we're going to move to number two, and that is the realtor or the real estate salesperson. Realtor is important because this is the person that's going to be walking you through, holding your hand throughout the transaction or throughout the journey, as it were. So my advice, even with the loan officer, is the law of three. You want to interview or vet 3 people. So you want to interview 3 realtors, and then also you want to get recommendations from your friends and family, maybe someone that your mom, your parents use, or maybe your aunts or uncle use, and things went well with them. But a lot of times, it's not about experience, it's about the feel, it's about the chemistry. All those things play a part. So you want to interview maybe 3 realtors and from wide ranges, and just see which one kind of clicks, which one kind of fits with you. Because sometimes it's a personality thing, especially when you have a spouse. I really think so, because a lot of times it gets a little bit more shakier when it's a spouse involved, husband or wife, because now you might like the one person, then your wife may not like this person, or vice versa. Okay, so maybe you and your spouse got to kind of have that discussion of what are the pros and cons to each individual, and then you pick that way. Because a lot of times you'll just be picking realtors for the next 20 years because one person likes this and you like that, and then you're arguing over who to pick, and then you never pick anyone. So you kind of have to pick your poison sometimes, and sometimes just look at the pros and cons if there's you and another spouse involved, or you and your fiance involved, and picking out. So just look at the plus and the minuses, and that may be your way of picking a realtor. But you want someone experienced and you want someone detailed. Once again, it's all in the details. That's very important, picking a realtor. And also a good realtor, they're going to recognize no matter how long they've been doing it, 15, 20, 25 years, you're the boss in this situation because you're the one buying the house. You're the one putting the money up for this house. So they're going to have their interest in helping you. They're going to be very unselfish. They're going to be very helpful. So they should be asking you questions like, what type of house do you want? What type of area? What city do you want? Okay, if you have children, where do you go to school? Is where you work and where you live a factor? Do you want corner lots? Do you want a gated community? Do you want a driveway? Do you want a 2-car garage, 1-car garage? Do you want a pool, in ground, above ground? How many bathrooms you want? Do you want the kitchen and the bathrooms already remodeled, or do you want something that you can remodel yourself? All of these things matter. Okay, so who your realtor picks, who you pick as your realtor is very important. And thirdly, we're going to talk about an attorney or a lawyer. Lawyer is a better word because you want a real estate attorney or a real estate lawyer. Okay, this is important because now they can oversee the entire transaction or closings and make sure all the terms and conditions of the actual purchasing agreement and the contract are met. Because a lot of things can happen, a lot of things can change. There's a lot of conditions that can take place between you, the buyer, and also the seller. It may be contingencies on maybe if there's repairs that have to be made before the actual transactions take place. So you want to make sure that you have a thorough lawyer that's detailed, is making sure that all those things are listed in agreement. Maybe the seller agrees, they'll say that they'll keep the ceiling fans, they'll keep the curtains, okay? Maybe they say they'll keep the above ground pool or many other fixtures or amenities, wherever the case may be. Whatever terms they say they're going to do, you want to make sure they make good of those terms when it's time to close, okay? And you want a very thorough real estate attorney or lawyer, whatever you want to call it, that's there to look over everything and make sure everything happens. Next, we have the home inspector. And definitely you want to interview 3 home inspectors. You want to find out what type of experience that they have in home inspection, how many they've done, because the home inspections are very important. This is something you definitely want to do. You want someone very thorough and organized and detailed, and give you a detailed, itemized report of what they found. Maybe, so if it's any like foundation problems or maybe roof problems, anything like that, maybe they want to have pictures, and you just want a full detailed report so you can kind of look back and see if this is something that you want to take on. Maybe the foundation is fine. Maybe it needs roof repairs. Okay, maybe it needs new gutters. Maybe it needs new vinyl siding. Maybe it needs to be winterized, or it needs new windows. You need a thorough inspector to let you know all these things, let you know what you're getting into and what price-wise you may be looking at. So it also kind of get a contractor, okay? Like, especially if you want to get a house at a discount, you know you want to fix a upper, you know you want to you like the house, but you kind of want it to have your own look as far as the bathroom and the kitchen is concerned. So you want to get a contractor in there, and I would interview 3 of these different ones as well, because maybe 2 of them say $20,000, and one of them say $40,000. So you might be like, man, this guy's way out of line. He's trying to rob me. Or he could be right and these 2 could be wrong. You never know. So you kind of have to look at it and see, who's the more qualified. So especially if you want to get something, you're going to have to do a lot of repairs when you buy this house. You want to get a contractor. So now you can see if this is going to fit your budget. Okay, so they can come out there and say, well, this could potentially be a nice house, but it's going to cost you $45,000 extra to you purchasing a house to get it to where you want it to, or it's going to cost $80,000, whatever case may be. So you want to have that good contractor to let you know what you're walking into when you get this home. And lastly, you want to make sure that you have a title agent. As well as making sure that the house is insured, because banks will not allow you to purchase a home unless you have insurance on the house. That protects their investment, that protects the actual mortgage. And the title agent, you want to get a good title agency to make sure that the title is free and clear. There's no junior liens, there's no other liens, or there's not a clouded title. Okay, so you just want to make sure that once the transaction takes place, no one can come in and claim your house, because that could be a disaster. So these are just some of the people that you need. Okay, so this is you here, and you got to have the inspector, the title insurance, the realtor, a contractor, real estate attorney, the actual loan officer. Well, so did I get everybody? Yeah, these are the key components here that you're going to need to get to home ownership, to get the house that you want. Okay? And once again, you want to interview 3 of each. And I know this might be a little time consuming. It's going to take a lot of effort, but it will be worth it. It will be worth it at the end of the day, because all these things matter, okay? If just one of these things is missing, then you can't get here, okay? So you want to have all the components, you want to have the right people in place, and you want to have people that you're comfortable with, okay? And you have to remember that you are the boss in a situation, okay? They may be the experts, they may know more, but at the end of the day, you're making the investment on this house. You're the one that has to live there, okay? So if you know what you want, make sure you get what you want, okay? Be very specific with the loan officer, what type of house you want, and just ask them what is it you need to do to get qualified. If you're not qualified at the time, make sure they tell you everything you need to do to be qualified so you can get the type of house that you want at that price. As well as a realtor. Let the realtor know and be firm about it. If you tell them you want a house with 3 bedrooms and they're only showing you 2-bedroom houses, 5-bedroom houses, well, they're not the realtor for you, because they're just totally ignoring what you want. So you have to be very specific in telling all these people, especially the loan officer and the realtor, what is it that you want? You can't just say, well, I want a bungalow, or I want a colonial, or I want to live in a gated area. You have to be very specific about the area that you want and the type of house that you want. That saves both of you guys a lot of time. Because now they're not sending you 50 houses. Now you got to look for 50 houses, and most of them not houses you can't afford and houses that you don't want to move into. So the more specific you are, the faster the process is going to go. So I hope this was a benefit to you of kind of get an idea of who should be on your team. And as a matter of fact, I will be having a seminar next month. I believe the week before Black Friday. It's going to be a first-time home buyers seminar. Well, it's just anybody that wants to buy a home, or if you want to invest. There'll be a seminar here in my office in Livonia. So if you're thinking about it, I know it's the holidays and not really thinking about a house just yet, but at least you want to know what you're walking into. Maybe it's 5 months away or 6 months away. So I will have realtors presence as well as loan officers to answer all your questions you may have to get you on your path to homeownership. So thank you very much and have a good evening.